The day started simple enough. My wife and I were moving the last few boxes into our new house, excited to finally settle in. But what should have been a happy memory turned into a chaotic storm the moment our HOA Karen neighbor laid eyes on us. She stood across the street, arms crossed like she owned the entire neighborhood, her phone already in her hand as if she had been waiting for an excuse. Within minutes, red and blue lights flashed against the moving truck. A police car pulled up, tires crunching on the pavement, and an officer stepped out. My wife froze, clutching a box labeled books. The cop approached slowly, his eyes darting from Karen to us, then suddenly widened. His voice dropped to a whisper as he muttered, "Wait, is that Ghost Viper?" My heart sank. I thought I had left that life behind. But in that moment, the past I had buried was staring me in the face, threatening to unravel everything. The move into a new neighborhood was supposed to be a fresh start. The house sat on a quiet cul-de-sac, shaded by tall oak trees, with white fences marking every property line. It looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. My wife, Emily, was excited, humming as she carried small boxes inside. I was hauling the heavy stuff, furniture, tools, things that made our house feel like ours. That's when we first noticed her. Karen. Every neighborhood has one, and we had hit the jackpot. She stood on her porch in bright floral leggings and a visor, clutching a clipboard like she was running for office. From the moment she saw us, she scribbled something down. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe she was taking notes for gardening or something. But the way she glared at us, like we were trespassers instead of homeowners, put me on edge. Within an hour, she marched over. "No, hello. No, welcome to the neighborhood. Just accusations. You can't park that moving truck here," she snapped. "It's blocking the street." Emily tried to explain we'd be done in a few hours. But Karen wasn't having it. "Rules are rules," she said, pulling out her phone like it was a weapon. "If you don't comply, I'll call the cops." We laughed nervously, thinking she was bluffing. But minutes later, she was on the sidewalk, loudly describing suspicious people to the dispatcher. That's when the cop showed up, and when my past life began to bleed through the cracks. The officer stepped out of the cruiser, adjusting his sunglasses. Karen waved her arms dramatically, pointing at us like she had just caught burglars red-handed. "That's them. They're not following HOA regulations." The officer didn't rush to her aid. Instead, his eyes landed on me. He froze, his jaw tensed. And then came the whisper, barely audible, but I caught it. "Ghost Viper." My blood ran cold. That name hadn't been spoken in years. Ghost Viper was my old life, a name I carried in a world I had sworn never to return to. Back when shadows were my home and danger was my closest companion. Back when my skills weren't used for moving furniture, but for missions the public could never know about. Emily didn't notice at first. She was too busy defending us against Karen's endless tirade. But I noticed the officer's hand twitch near his belt. Not threatening, but hesitant, as if he wasn't sure whether to salute or arrest me. "Sir," he said carefully, "can I speak with you privately?" Karen's face turned red with frustration. "What about me? They're breaking the rules." The officer didn't even glance at her. "Ma'am, please step aside. This is official business." Emily looked at me, confused. My stomach knotted. The life I had walked away from was about to crash into the one I had built. The officer led me a few steps away from the moving truck. His eyes kept scanning the street, making sure Karen couldn't hear. "I don't know what you're doing here," he whispered, "but I recognized you the second I saw your face. Ghost Viper doesn't just disappear. What happened to your team?" My chest tightened. Memories flooded back. The operations, the betrayals, the faces I swore I'd never see again. I had left it all behind, faking my own death in a desert raid, and walking away without looking back. "That's not who I am anymore," I muttered. His eyes softened. "Then why are you here, in this neighborhood? Under your real name?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Emily walked toward us, concern etched on her face. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Before I could respond, Karen barged in, screeching like a hawk. "Why are you whispering? He's hiding something, isn't he?" I knew it. The officer shot her a glare, so sharp she actually shut her mouth. Then he turned back to me. "Listen, I don't know why you left. but someone will come looking for you. People like Ghost Viper don't get to retire quietly. His words sent a chill down my spine. Could my past really find me here, in a suburb with white fences and block parties? I thought I was safe. But when Karen stormed back toward her porch, shouting into her phone about calling the HOA president, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't just a nosy neighbor. She was about to put a spotlight on me, one I couldn't afford. That evening, as the sun dipped low, we received a notice slid under our door. A mandatory HOA meeting. They can't force us to go, Emily said, crumpling the paper. But something about the officer's warning stuck with me. We should go, I told her. See what this is about. The clubhouse was packed. Karen sat at the front like a queen on her throne, her clipboard in hand, smirking at us as we entered. The HOA president, a stiff man in a navy blazer, cleared his throat. We've received complaints about your moving practices, blocking the street, violating parking codes, and he hesitated, glancing at Karen, who leaned in and whispered something, and potential security concerns. The room buzzed with murmurs. Emily stood, furious. We've done nothing wrong. We're just moving in like anyone else. Karen shot up, pointing at me. He's not who he says he is. I saw the officer whisper to him. He's dangerous. My pulse quickened. The president raised a hand. Sir, do you care to explain? For a moment, silence filled the room. Then the clubhouse doors creaked open. The officer from earlier stepped inside. His presence silenced everyone. He didn't look at the president. He looked at me. This man is not a danger to this community, he declared. If anything, you're safer with him here. Karen's jaw dropped. Whispers spread like wildfire. Emily's hand found mine under the table. But as the officer's words sank in, I realized something worse. If he could recognize me, so could others. And the longer I stayed, the more risk I brought to Emily. The past wasn't behind me. It was circling closer. Days passed, but the tension in the neighborhood only grew. Karen seemed more determined than ever to dig into my past. I caught her peering through our windows, taking photos of our license plates, even following me on errands. Emily begged me to ignore her, but paranoia clawed at me. One night, as I was locking up, I spotted a black SUV parked down the street. Its headlights were off, but I knew that look. Surveillance. Someone was watching. My stomach dropped. Karen wasn't the real threat. She was just the spark. The fire was coming from somewhere else. I called the officer, hoping he might have answers. He arrived within minutes, his face grim. I told you, he said. They don't let people like you just walk away. Emily overheard, her eyes wide. What is he talking about? She demanded. My heart ached. I had never told her the truth. About Ghost Viper. About the missions. About the blood on my hands. Emily, I said softly. Before I met you, I wasn't the man you know. I worked for people who don't exist on paper. And when I left, I thought I was free. Her hands trembled, but she didn't pull away. So, they're coming here? She whispered. The officer nodded. They already know. At that moment, headlights flared at the end of the street. The black SUV rolled closer, slow and deliberate. Karen stepped out of her house, waving her clipboard at them, thinking they were reinforcement for her cause. She had no idea what storm she had invited into our lives. The SUV doors swung open, and men in dark suits stepped out. Their movements were precise, disciplined. Not cops, not agents. Ghosts like me. My past had arrived. Karen marched toward them, barking complaints about HOA rules, oblivious to the danger. One of the men brushed her aside without a word, his eyes locked on me. Emily stood behind me, clutching my arm. The officer shifted, his hand resting on his holster. You need to run, he hissed. Take your wife and go. But I knew running wouldn't solve this. Not anymore. The leader stepped forward, a scar cutting across his cheek. Viper, he said coldly. We've come to collect. My old instincts kicked in. Every nerve in my body screamed to fight, but Emily's presence grounded me. I couldn't drag her into this war. Not here, I said firmly. Not in front of them. The man's eyes flicked to the neighbors watching from their porches. He smirked. Fine. But you know the price of refusing. He turned back to the SUV, signaling the others. We'll be in touch. As they left, Karen shouted after them. demanding justice for her HOA complaints. They ignored her completely. The street fell silent. Emily looked at me, fear and love in her eyes. "Who are you really?" she whispered. I pulled her close. "I'm your husband. That's all that matters. But if my past wants a fight, then it's going to get one." The officer met my gaze and nodded. "Ghost Viper or not, you're not alone in this." And in that quiet, moonlit street, I realized the truth. The battle wasn't over. It had just begun.